Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another class of Criminal Procedure Code. Today, we are going to discuss about complaint process under CRPC. So, we will be discussing in detail what is a complaint in the first place, what is the exact complaint procedure to be followed under CRPC. A recapitulation of what we have done in the previous lectures. In the previous lecture, we were talking about the understanding of the concept of confession. So what is confession? What is the exact process and understanding of the process of recording of confession? What are the due compliances which have to be made while recording confession? And lastly, an understanding of the evidentiary value of confession. So even if a confession has been recorded, what is its evidentiary value? What is the weightage of this evidence in a court of law? This we have done in the previous class. Coming to the objective of the present class or the present lecture, we are going to go for an understanding of the concept of complaint, the basic definition of complaint. Secondly, we are going to go for an understanding of the complaint process. What is the detailed process to be followed in cases of complaint? And lastly, we are going to make an understanding of the concept of dismissal of complaint. When and under what circumstance a complaint can be dismissed by the court. An introduction of the concept of complaint. A complaint in CRPC means a complaint made to a magistrate. So complaints cannot be made to a police officer. They can only be made to a magistrate. It is defined under section 2D of CRPC. So the proper definition of a complaint has been given under section 2D. As per the section, it means any allegation made orally or in writing to a magistrate with a view of his obtaining or his taking an action under this code. So a complaint to a magistrate can be made oral or can be made in writing. But the actual purpose of a complaint is that you have an intention the magistrate should take some action on the basis of this complaint. That some person, whether known or unknown, has committed an offense but does not include a police report. So a complaint can be filed against a known person. It can be filed against an unknown person as well who has committed an offense. This offense can be a cognizable offense. This offense can be a non-cognizable offense. It can be a bailable offense. It can be a non-bailable offense. So whatever offense it is, you can file a complaint before a magistrate. And at the end of it, it clearly indicates that it does not include a police report. So, a complaint does not include a police report. Police report or FIR is a separate proceeding, whereas complaint is a separate proceeding. Coming on to the concept of complaint. Under the Code of Criminal Procedure, which defines the term complaint, it basically is an allegation made orally or in writing to a magistrate. It is done with the view of his taking an action against the person under this code. This person can be an existing person whose name has been within the knowledge of the informant, or it can be against any unknown person where the name of the accused is not clearly indicated. Okay, so this should be kept in mind while understanding the concept of complaint. Section 200, this is chapter 5 of CRPC, chapter 15 of CRPC, which talks about the process of complaint, starting from section 200 to section 203. Section 200 talks about examination of complainant who is filing a complaint. So a magistrate with whom complaint is filed shall examine the complainant and also his witnesses on oath. So the very first step after filing of a complaint is that magistrate will be examining the complainant and his witnesses. The content in the complaint shall also be examined and reduced into writing in the form of a report. So the magistrate will be recording the basic substance of the complaint after examination in the form of a report. This report shall have the signature of the complainant, witnesses, and also the magistrate. Provided that when the complaint is made in writing, the magistrate need not examine the complainant and witnesses if the following conditions are fulfilled. So under the following circumstance which we are about to discuss, the magistrate is not required to compulsorily or mandatorily make an examination of the complainant or his witnesses. If this written complaint is made by a public servant acting or purporting to act in discharge of his official duties, or a court has made the complaint. So if the complaint is made by public servant acting in his official capacity, or if this complaint is made by a court to another court, then there is no need for examination of complainant or his witnesses. Secondly, if this written complaint is based where a magistrate makes over the case of inquiry or trial to another magistrate under section 192. So the first magistrate has already examined the complainant and his witnesses. Later on, the magistrate makes over the case to some other magistrate. In such cases, after this makeover, the second magistrate need not examine the complainant and his witnesses again, provided further that if the magistrate transfer the case to another magistrate under section 192 after examination of the complainant and his witnesses, the second magistrate need not re-examine these complainant and witnesses again. So this is quite clear. The re-examination, once they have already been examined, is not necessary according to section 200 of CRPC. Now the procedure to be followed in case you are making a complaint to a magistrate who is not competent to take that complaint. Then what will be the procedure? This is given under section 201 of CRPC. Procedure by magistrate: if the magistrate is not competent to take cognizance of the case, it is given if the complaint is filed with a magistrate who cannot take cognizance of the offence. So this magistrate does not have the jurisdiction or the competency to take cognizance in the present case. Then he shall, if the complaint is made in writing, return it and also ask him, that is the complainant, to present the complaint before the proper court. So if this complaint is made in writing, the best possible step to be taken by the magistrate is return the complaint itself to be presented before the proper court. Now if this complaint is not made in writing, so this complaint has been made orally before the magistrate should direct the complainant to the proper court. So if the complaint is in writing, direct the complaint itself. If the complaint is oral, direct the complainant to present this oral complaint before the correct proper court. Section 202 talks about postponement of issue of process. Now this is basically a postponement of issue of warrant or summons against the accused. Once the court is satisfied after getting a complaint and after examination of the complainant and his witnesses, that further step should be taken. In the present case, the court will be issuing summons or warrants against the accused under section 204 of CRPC. But in certain cases where the court is not sure, the court is not confirmed whether to take the next step of issuing process against the accused, the court can postpone these issuing of processes to satisfy himself that such step is required for confirmation that the case should go ahead in the present situation. So this is postponement of issue of process. It is given under section 202 that any magistrate on receiving a complaint of an offence for which he has authorization to take cognizance or the case has been transferred to him, if he thinks that postponement of issue of process is necessary. So this magistrate has received a complaint for which he has jurisdiction, or he has received the case after transfer from some other court, and he is of the opinion, he thinks that the postponement of issue of warrant or summons against the accused is necessary. It can postpone if the accused resides at a place beyond the area in which he exercises jurisdiction. This is one ground where postponement of issue can be done, because obviously summons and warrants require the accused to be present before the court. Now, if the accused is not physically present within the jurisdiction of the court, then the immediate step required is to bring the accused to the court. If the court is of the opinion that bringing the accused to the court is not currently possible because he is physically located at some outer place, then to that extent, for that time, to bring the person to the existing jurisdiction, court can postpone the issue of process. The magistrate can also either inquire into the case himself or direct the police officer to investigate into the case. These are the two important steps which can be used by the magistrate to ensure or to satisfy whether there should be an issue of process against the accused or not. So the court can inquire the case himself, or he can inquire the case to be done by some other magistrate, or he can order the police officer to do an investigation. Normally investigations are done in cases of filing of FIR resulting into a police report, but this is one exception where investigation even in a complaint case can be done by a magistrate subject to a specific order of section 202 after the postponement of issue of process, provided that no such direction for investigation made. Now this investigation cannot be made unless certain additional compliances have been done by the magistrate. These additional compliances are if it appears to the magistrate that the offence is triable only by court of session. So if this case is exclusively triable by court of session, then investigation cannot be made by the order of investigation cannot be ordered by the court. Then who will be making this order of investigation? You can transfer the case to court of session, and if court of session thinks so, the court of session can order this investigation. Second requirement is the complaint is not made by a court unless the complainant and his witnesses present have been examined under section 200. So normally we have seen that after filing of a complaint, the complainant and his witnesses are usually being examined. But there are certain circumstances. For example, if this complaint is made in writing by a public servant working in his official capacity or by a court, then normally examination is not mandatory. But if at a later point of time the court realizes that he wants to order or it wants to order an investigation, then this examination becomes compulsory. So if after section 200, in cases of uh, a complaint made by a public servant and there was no examination, later on the court realizes that they want to order an investigation, they can go back under section 200 to cover the examination of complainant and his witnesses. Although this going back is not required if the complaint is made by court. For that there is no mandatory examination under section 202 and the court can go for ordering an investigation. It is further given that in an inquiry the magistrate may, if he thinks fit, take evidences of the witnesses on oath. So in this inquiry, just like a trial, the evidence of witness on oath can be taken by the magistrate, provided that if it appears to the magistrate that the offence triable is only by court of session, then he shall call upon the complainant to produce all his witnesses and examine them on oath. Furthermore, if an investigation is made by a person not being a police officer, then he shall have all the powers of investigation given under this code to an officer in charge of a police station, except the power to arrest without warrant. So when the magistrate is ordering a police officer to start investigation, this investigation can be done by a police officer or the power of a police officer given to a private person as well. Now this private person, while exercising the power of a police officer being given for the purpose of investigation, will be deemed to have all the powers of a police officer except the power to arrest without warrant. So he cannot arrest unless he has obtained a warrant of arrest from the magistrate. Coming to the last point of dismissal of complaint. So in cases of complaint case, the court can either, after postponement of issue of process, can go ahead with the actual issuing of process, or the court can decide to dismiss the complaint either based on the information of section 200 or based on the information or evidences being gathered through the inquiry or investigation of section 202. So it is given, if after considering the statement on oath of the complainant and of his witnesses and the result of inquiry or investigation, if there is one under section 202, the magistrate is of the opinion that there are no sufficient grounds of proceeding ahead in the case. So the magistrate is in the opinion based on the examination of complainant and his witnesses under section 200 or based on the result of inquiry or investigation under section 202 that there are no basis to go ahead with the case. He shall dismiss the complaint and in every such case he shall record a brief reason for doing so. So if the magistrate is deciding to dismiss a complaint, he should record a reason clearly in writing as to why he is dismissing this complaint. This recording of reason is an essential part of principle of natural justice, which says that every order should be a reasoned order. So the magistrate cannot abruptly, without any basis, on his own whims and fancies, dismiss the complaint. There should be proper recording of reasons. To understand the concept in detail, You can refer to Code of Criminal Procedure by Justice Y.V. Chandrachud and V.R. Mohan, and you can refer to Ratanlal Dheerajlal as well. Apart from this, please stick to the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973 in this regard, and you can also refer to R.V. Kelkar for Code of Criminal Procedure being published by Eastern Book Company. Thank you.